A morning walk in the park, an ordinary day. An elderly man sat peacefully on a bench, enjoying the tranquility of the surroundings. But then, something unexpected happened. A golden retriever puppy approached him with desperate urgency, jumping, barking, tugging at his clothes with an intensity impossible to ignore. This wasn't playful behavior, it was a cry for help. The old man had no idea that following this persistent puppy would lead him to a discovery that would change everything. What was hidden in the depths of that park? Why was that puppy so desperate? The answer that awaited him would prove that sometimes the most extraordinary rescues begin with the smallest heroes. If you enjoy these types of stories, please like and subscribe to the channel to help me bring you more stories like this. Turn on notifications and comment below what you thought. The day began like any other for Harold, a 68-year-old man who maintained his morning routine of walking through Greenwood Park. He had just sat down on his favorite bench, the one near the lake, when he noticed the puppy approaching. At first, he thought it was just a lost dog looking for attention, but something about that animal's behavior was different. The barks weren't cheerful or playful, they were urgent, almost desperate. The puppy, its golden fur gleaming in the morning light, began tugging at Harold's trouser leg with its teeth. Each time the old man tried to calm it down or gently move it away, the animal intensified its efforts. It would jump, run a few meters toward a side path in the park, then return, staring intently at Harold as if it were trying to communicate something important, something that couldn't wait. Harold felt a tightness in his chest. Decades of life experience had taught him to trust his instincts, and at that moment, his instincts screamed that something was wrong. That puppy wasn't just playing or looking for food, it was asking for help. With difficulty, the elderly man stood up from the bench and decided to follow the little golden retriever, without having any idea what he would find ahead. The puppy ran ahead, stopping constantly to make sure Harold was still following. Every few meters, the little animal looked back, its brown eyes reflecting an anxiety that touched the old man's heart. Harold tried to keep up, but his tired legs made the walk increasingly challenging. The path led them away from the busy area of the park, into a less frequented trail, covered by dense trees that partially blocked the sunlight. As they moved forward, Harold began to question whether he had made the right decision. The trail grew narrower and more isolated with each step. Some people might have given up there, returning to the safety of the main park area. But something in that cub's determination prevented him from abandoning the journey. The animal clearly knew where he was going, and his urgency didn't diminish for a second. It was as if every lost moment could mean the difference between life and death. After about 10 minutes of difficult walking, the puppy finally stopped. Its barking intensified, echoing through the silent forest. Harold gasped, trying to catch his breath, when he finally saw what had driven the little dog so desperate. There, partially hidden among thorny bushes and fallen branches, was an adult golden retriever. But what Harold saw next made his blood run cold. The dog was trapped in a rusty metal snare, her hind leg completely immobilized. Blood stained the golden fur around the wound, and the animal's eyes reflected extreme pain and exhaustion.
Harold felt a wave of shock and indignation run through his body. Illegal traps in the park? How was that possible? That cruel device had been placed there by unscrupulous hunters, completely prohibited in that protected area. The dog had clearly been suffering for hours, perhaps even since the previous night. Her breathing was irregular, panting, and her body trembled slightly. Around her, the ground was marked with signs of a desperate struggle, deep scratches in the earth showing how she had tried to free herself from the deadly trap. The elderly man approached slowly, speaking softly so as not to further frighten the injured animal. The golden retriever lifted its head with difficulty, its eyes meeting Harold's. At that moment, there was not only pain in that gaze, but also a glimmer of hope. The puppy immediately ran to its mother, licking her muzzle and positioning itself beside her, as if wanting to offer comfort. The scene was heartbreaking. Harold knew he couldn't try to remove the trap himself. The mechanism was complex and dangerous, and any wrong move could cause even more damage to the dog's already injured paw. With trembling hands, he took his cell phone from his pocket and immediately dialed the city's animal control service. He explained the situation urgently, providing the exact location via his phone's GPS coordinates. The operator assured him that a specialized team would be dispatched immediately. While waiting, Harold took off his jacket and gently placed it over the dog's body, trying to keep her warm and comfortable until help arrived.
15 minutes felt like an eternity. Harold stayed by the injured dog's side, speaking softly to her, trying to keep her calm while the puppy didn't leave his side for a moment. The little golden retriever lay down beside his mother, pressing his warm little body against her as if he instinctively knew that her presence brought comfort. The devotion and loyalty of that puppy were extraordinary. He had done something that many animals couldn't. He actively sought help, chose a human being, and guided them there. Finally, Harold heard the sound of voices and hurried footsteps approaching along the trail. A team of 4 emerged from the trees, 2 veterinarians, an animal control officer, and an assistant carrying medical equipment. The team leader, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, quickly assessed the situation with an experienced eye. She knelt beside the dog, examining the trap and the extent of the injuries, while speaking to the animal in a reassuring tone. Animal Control Officer Marcus documented the scene with photographs, collecting evidence of the illegal trap that would be investigated later. Meanwhile, Dr. Mitchell prepared a light sedative for the dog, explaining to Harold that this would help reduce pain and stress during the release process. The puppy watched everything attentively, its little eyes following every movement of the team. When they tried to temporarily move it away to work with more space, it resisted, refusing to leave its mother. Dr. Mitchell decided to allow it to stay, recognizing that its presence was keeping the mother calmer.
Using specialized tools, the team began the delicate process of opening the trap. Marcus worked with surgical precision, applying pressure to the exact points of the mechanism, while Dr. Mitchell carefully supported the dog's injured paw. Every second seemed crucial. The assistant kept a portable vital signs monitor connected to the animal, closely observing the heart rate and oxygen levels. The second veterinarian prepared sterile compresses and cleaning solutions to treat the wound as soon as the paw was freed. Finally, after tense minutes, the trap opened with a metallic click. The team worked quickly, removing the cruel device and fully exposing the wound. The damage was significant, with deep cuts and swollen tissue, but Dr. Mitchell murmured something that brought relief. No bones appeared to be fractured. With precise and gentle movements, she cleaned the wound, applied antiseptic, and wrapped the paw in professional bandages. An injection of antibiotics and analgesics was administered to prevent infection and control the pain. Throughout the procedure, the puppy stayed by its mother's side, occasionally licking her muzzle as if offering encouragement. The dog, even under light sedation, kept her eyes focused on her little savior. Harold watched the scene with tears in his eyes, deeply touched by the connection between mother and son. The team prepared an improvised stretcher using a sturdy tarp,
and carefully positioned the golden retriever on it. It would be necessary to transport her to the veterinary ambulance parked at the park entrance.
Transporting the dog along the narrow trail was a challenge. Marcus and the second veterinarian carried the stretcher at the ends, moving slowly to avoid any jolts that could cause additional pain to the injured dog. Dr. Mitchell walked alongside, constantly monitoring the animal's vital signs, while her assistant followed close behind with medical equipment. Harold accompanied the group, and the puppy, of course, didn't leave his mother's side for a second, trotting beside the stretcher with his little eyes fixed on her. When they finally reached the open area of the park, several curious onlookers had gathered around the veterinary ambulance, drawn by the unusual activity. The team worked quickly, transferring the dog into the air-conditioned vehicle equipped with everything necessary for emergency care. Space was limited, but Dr. Mitchell made an important decision. The puppy would be taken along. She had witnessed how its presence kept the mother calm and knew that separating them at that critical moment could cause additional stress to both. Harold asked permission to accompany them to the city's veterinary clinic. He felt responsible for those animals now, connected to them in a way he couldn't fully explain. Dr. Mitchell agreed, inviting him to go in his own car and follow the ambulance. As the vehicle left the park with flashing lights, Harold ran to his old sedan parked nearby. Inside the ambulance, the puppy had settled carefully beside its mother, its little head resting gently on her paws, watching her every breath.
The Riverside Animal Care Veterinary Clinic was prepared to receive the emergency. As soon as the ambulance parked at the entrance, an additional team of technicians awaited with a wheeled stretcher. The transfer was quick and efficient, and within minutes, the golden retriever was being taken to the procedure room. The puppy tried to follow, but was gently restrained by one of the technicians. Its desperate whimpers echoed down the hallway, a sound that broke the hearts of everyone present. Harold arrived shortly after and found the agitated puppy in the waiting room, being calmed by Dr. Mitchell's assistant. The elderly man sat on the floor beside the little animal, stroking its soft fur and speaking in a comforting tone. The puppy gradually calmed down, but its eyes remained fixed on the door of the procedure room, every fiber of its being focused on waiting for its mother. The hours that followed were agonizing. Harold remained there, refusing to leave, feeling that he owed those animals his presence and support. Inside the operating room, Dr. Mitchell and her team worked meticulously. The wound was thoroughly cleaned, damaged tissues were carefully treated, and internal and external sutures were precisely applied. Examinations revealed that, despite its serious appearance, no permanent damage had been done to the tendons or bones. With proper treatment and recovery time, the dog would be able to walk normally again. Intravenous fluids kept her hydrated, and medications controlled pain and prevented infection. The surgery lasted almost 2 hours, but finally, Dr. Mitchell left the room with a tired smile on her face.
Dr. Mitchell approached Harold with a relieved expression. The surgery had been a complete success. The dog was stable, resting comfortably under sedation, and the prognosis was extremely positive. With proper care and physiotherapy in the coming weeks, she would make a full recovery. Harold felt a huge weight lift from his shoulders. The puppy, upon hearing the veterinarian's voice, immediately perked up his ears, as if he understood that it was good news about his mother. After some negotiation and considering the exceptional circumstances, Dr. Mitchell authorized the puppy to be taken to the recovery room to see his mother. The reaction was instantaneous and heartwarming. As soon as the little golden retriever spotted his mother lying on the hospital bed, his tail began to wag frantically. He was carefully placed beside her and immediately snuggled against her warm body. The mother, even drowsy from the medication, moved her head slightly towards the puppy, gently licking him, The connection between them was palpable, filling the room with an energy of unconditional love. Harold watched from the doorway, tears streaming freely down his wrinkled face. At that moment, he knew he couldn't simply walk away and forget those animals. He spoke at length with Dr. Mitchell about the situation. It turned out that both dogs were missing microchips and collars, suggesting they might have been abandoned or born in the wild in the park. After considering all options, Harold made a life-changing decision. He offered to adopt both the mother and the puppy as soon as she was recovered enough to leave the clinic. 3 weeks had passed since that transformative day at Greenwood Park. The golden retriever, whom Harold affectionately named Bella, had made an extraordinary recovery. Her injured paw was healing perfectly, and she could already walk with only a slight limp that, according to Dr. Mitchell, would disappear completely in the coming weeks. The puppy, named Max by Harold, had never left his mother's side throughout the entire recovery process. The elderly man's house, which had once been quiet and lonely, was now full of life, cheerful barks and the sound of paws running through the hallways. Harold discovered a new reason to wake up every morning. Bella and Max brought him a joy he hadn't felt in years since losing his wife. Morning walks in the park, once a solitary routine, were now shared adventures with his 2 four-legged companions. Bella walked majestically beside him, while Max ran ahead, exploring every corner with the typical curiosity of a puppy. The trio became a familiar presence in Greenwood Park, and many visitors stopped to hear the incredible story of how they met. The investigation into the illegal trap led to the discovery of several others scattered throughout the isolated area of the park. All were removed, and an illegal hunter was identified and prosecuted by the authorities. The story of Max, the heroic puppy who saved his mother, spread throughout the local community, inspiring conversations about compassion, courage, and the incredible intelligence of animals. Harold often reflected on that fateful day. If he had ignored Max's insistent barking, if he had decided not to follow the puppy along the trail, the outcome would have been tragically different. But he was in the right place at the right time, and he chose to act. That decision not only saved 2 lives, but also completely transformed his own. Bella and Max were not just his pets, they were his family, and it all began with a cry for help that he decided to answer.